Joining us today is Dr. Sarah Wooten, the pumpkin veterinary expert. Dr. Wooten is here to discuss the company's survey findings and the common misconceptions that pet parents often have as it relates to their dog's veterinary care. Dr. Wooten, welcome to the Pet Buzz.
Thank you, Dr. Fleck and Charlotte, for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here because this, I think, is an important thing.
Oh, it's terribly important.
That so many of us deal with on a day-to-day basis. So why do you think that pet parents are generally financially unprepared for veterinary care for pets?
Well, the main reason is because most of these people, when they're getting their new pet, whether it's a puppy or a kitten or an adult animal, they do not have the concept that something's going to happen to this animal. They're just excited about this new bond that they share. And so the thought that something could happen to this precious new family member is completely out of their mind. The other thing is a lot of us, me included, have a hard time planning ahead for emergencies because we have so much we're dealing with in the here and now. And other people just don't really think about the idea of spending money on a pet. That's still a thing. And so I think those are the three main reasons.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they, like you said, I have a new pet here, my puppy Church. I mean, I don't think about it for obvious reasons, but, Amy got Church's brother when we got the pets at Pensacola, and BB, Buster Brown, Boohaker. I know, it's a funny name. BB's already been to the vet. She thought BB ate something. $200 and $350 later, there's nothing wrong. But Amy is financially prepared. Not everybody is.
Yeah, just the look on people's face when they hear about the financial responsibility that they have when they have an emergency. It's overwhelming. So talk to us about some of the pet parents that you interviewed for the survey.
Absolutely. So we interviewed over 1,300 pet parents across a wide range of demographic, all ages, locations, different socioeconomic backgrounds. And about a third of the respondents had more than one dog. And some of them were first-time pet parents and others were more experienced and had pets before. We really tried to get a wide representation of different kinds of pet parents.
And I think that's important because, let's face it, things are going up. It's harder to get raw materials. It's harder to get supplies, as I'm sure both of you know, because you told me you couldn't get penicillin, right?
I couldn't get penicillin for 3 months. Just penicillin.
Crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Once at the vet offices, were these pet parents able to afford their pets' veterinary costs? I mean, were they surprised?
Absolutely. People are absolutely shocked every time they are given a big bill. And in fact, I like to prep my clients ahead of time. I say, I'm going to give you an estimate and there's going to be a comma in it. And they laugh, but they're still like shocked. And so we found that a large percentage of respondents in this survey, about 44%, wouldn't be able to afford a veterinary bill that was $1,000 on their own. They would either have to borrow from somebody or not get the care altogether, which means that that pet either died or was suffering.
That's horrible. And $1,000, I mean, we think about it. I mean, what do they say? I mean, $1,000 in a scheme of things may, for a lot of people, may not seem like a lot of money, but then again, for others, it is a lot of money. And I mean, not everyone can qualify for credit care. Right, no. Dr. Fleck? Right, Dr. Wooten?
Well, absolutely not. As far as the lines of credit go, because that's one of the main things that we always say to pet parents who can't afford. Oh, let's apply for care credit. Let's apply for Wells Fargo. Let's apply for Scratch Pay. And unfortunately, a lot of these people can't even qualify for a $500 line of credit, and they have to even cobble together several lines of credit from different family members. It's really, really frustrating to the veterinarian and to the pet parent at the same time.
Yeah, and I also think that probably within the last couple of years, especially over the last year, the financial responsibilities and the accelerated cost have really been more than what we would normally see with the cost of living increase. So people just really don't understand why it's so much more than what it would have been just a year or two ago. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I am finding that people put vet bills in their disposable income line item in their budgets. And a lot of these families, especially young people, just don't have a lot of money in that disposable income line item. And so that is a really huge problem that we're experiencing right now in veterinary medicine, for sure.
We all have some degree of disposable income. Does that mean that people are beginning to put some of that plan for their pet? Or are they not doing that yet?
It's interesting because I have had people driving Mercedes and wearing $300 jeans say that they can't afford the veterinary bill. And I think it comes down to a perception of value. A lot of people don't understand the value of what's being provided, and they're shocked by the price. And also, Dr. Fleck, I agree. Veterinarians are small businesses. A lot of them are still mom and pop businesses, and they're operating on a very fine financial line. And they're not banks, right? And I agree also, there has to be a long established relationship with these veterinarians before they're going to extend a line of credit. I've seen some of these veterinary offices accounts receivable lists, and it's long because we do have these big hearts and we want to help everybody. But at the end of the day, you can't run a business on charity. Charity is here, business is here.
Were some of the pet parents afraid to take their pets to the vet, or did they delay vet visits due to finances?
Well, absolutely. So I can answer this two ways. Yes, according to the survey, we have actual numbers. About 40% of people were reluctant to take their dog to the vet, or they delayed the visit to the vet because of finances. And as a practicing veterinarian, I see this all the time. And it's so frustrating because as a practicing vet, I knew I could alleviate suffering and resolve the situation easier and with less money and with less suffering if they had just come in sooner. So it's not only something we've seen in the survey, I've seen it as a practicing vet, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Dr. Fleck.
Absolutely, every day. And your point about don't delay because it's going to cost more down the road. Take care of it now before it becomes more serious and then become very expensive.
I also think that's a mindset. I mean, I've been to vets and they say, well, let's wait and see before we run the test. And I just say, no. Let's just run them now so I can start planning.
No, but they came into the vet
No.
and there was a treatment protocol where the vet said, let's try this first.
I understand that. But I think, it's, my personality. So I rather confront something now, pay for it, and then and not have to worry about it. Because I think that's just that, but that's a personality trait of mine.
Well, and you almost wonder if that vet that you've been seeing has been conditioned to say, well, let's wait and see, let's wait on the test, because he's or she has gotten shut down so many times by people when they did want to do an early intervention where people are like, no, I don't want to. It costs too much right now. So I appreciate your personality.
No, it's just easy. You say that, but he doesn't always appreciate that. Okay. So like I was saying before, I'm curious about the survey, the group of people that you surveyed. Did some of these pet parents like rush to the vet and obviously nothing happened? That's the worst. When you have to go to the vet, you think, like with Amy's situation, she thought BB chewed up something. He didn't. And I think you're right. That's pretty common with a lot of first-time pet owners or puppy owners, correct?
Absolutely. In this survey, about a quarter, so 25% of respondents had the experience of they were worried, so they took their pet to the vet and they spent money only to find out that nothing was wrong. Now, having said that, peace of mind is invaluable. And I can tell you, I've seen the relief wash over many a face, and people are happy to pay the $50, $60, $75 to feel better. But at the same time, they're spending money that they didn't need to.
How many of these pet owners had pet insurance?
Very little of them. Actually, it was down somewhere around 10%, 13% had pet insurance at the time of the survey. 13%.
Well, that's up because it was 2% a couple of years ago.
Well, it's like I was going to say that's higher than the national average, which is about 4 to 5 now, right?
Yeah.
For people overall having pet insurance. But at least they had 13% of pet insurance. in their survey. That's pretty good.
That's really good.
That's
really
not bad
good.
at all.
It's a positive trajectory. It's still way, way less than I would like to see, but it is a positive trajectory.
So all in all, do pet owners have a realistic idea of vet costs for the lifetime of their pets?
Oh, Dr. Fleck, you and I both know the answer to this question. And oh, no. Oh, right. Over 80% did not have a clue as to the idea of what they're going to spend on that pet for the lifetime. So then they broke it down a little bit more. So about 30% of people thought, oh, it's going to cost between $1,000 and $5,000, right? About 10% thought it was going to be less than $1,000. But what we have found is that pet care can cost an estimated cost total of over $16,000 for the lifetime of a pet.
And that's just the vet cost.
That's just vet costs. That's not
Right.
even food costs or boarding costs, right?
So what can pet parents do for unexpected veterinary costs?
Well, there's a couple of things I always tell people. One, you can set up a savings account, just put money into it every single month. That is the most basic way to deal with it. Another thing I advise people to do is get a credit card that has a limit of $2,000 to $5,000 that you only use for veterinary emergencies, right? It's just there. You put it in the lockbox. You never think about it, but it's there if you need it. Another thing that a lot of people, when they're faced with these big bills, we always say, okay, well, let's apply for a line of credit. Care Credit is a big one. Wells Fargo has one. Scratch Pay. The problem is, in order to qualify for these, you have to have pretty good credit. And the thing is most of the people who are seeking these lines of credit, they don't have that established credit. And so it's very difficult to see people get denied over and over and over again. And then obviously insurance. I talk to every puppy and kitten owner about insurance. And in fact, I give them something so that they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And I tell them, you're not going to think about this right now, but at some point you may really need this. And so insurance it doesn't cost very much a month, and it can pay the bulk of the bill. They pay up to 90% sometimes. So those are basically the ways. Other than that, selling your first child works. Yeah.
Sure, I guess. I mean,
Yeah. And if they just start out right at first when they get their puppy and get what, like in human, they call it catastrophic insurance, just start out with that and then move forward. I mean, they don't have to pay a lot for that. And that'll help for those emergency cares.
yeah.
Absolutely. You don't have to get the comprehensive plan
No.
if you don't have those kind of resources right now. But if you can, that's also great, because a lot of them actually include preventive care, including vaccines, fecal exams, yearly labs, exams, spays and neuters even. So, I mean, there's just a lot to think about.
Yeah. And actually, even before that is making sure that you do your research and find the best insurance possible for you, because obviously some insurance covers that, but there's some insurance don't consider pre-existing conditions. So for example, if you have a Burmese mountain dog, classic hip dysplasia. Okay. You have one last question, Dr. Fleck.
Okay. What do you want the pet owners to take away from our interview?
I want pet owners to know that the veterinary bills are often bigger than many people think. And everyone needs to think, just like if you're going to have a child, do I have the financial means in place to care for this animal in case it ever becomes sick or injured? And I would like them to seriously consider getting pet insurance before an accident or illness has happened. Many people end up buying it after because they have such a terrible experience, but get it when the pet is on the younger side, because this can save serious money down the line.
Dr. Wooten, great information, great advice. Thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for viewing our content on Pet Buzz Plus.